All right, guys, welcome back to lesson number one of how to edit like a pro. Now, this is the basic course, of course, and we're going to go over the basic fundamental understandings you need to have, practical skills you need to have before you start editing or as you're editing. And today we'll be covering seven steps that you need to follow or that can help you if you follow them in an editing process. These are the 7 steps I've been following throughout my editing experience, and I find that as you do this over and over again, you get better at it and you're less likely to miss anything in your editing process. So the editing process is amazing. It's a creative process that involves many steps and all that. And if you want to understand the theoretical aspects of this, I did a free course on that. I will link a video or some content that will help you with that. And so make sure you watch that video if you haven't already. But for now, we're going to go right into the aspects of how to edit. And today I won't be talking that much. Today will be hands-on practice and editing. So today we'll be looking at the editing workflow. As you edit, editing is a process. It's not just one thing that you do to your video or even an audio that makes it amazing. It's so many little things that you do that really turns the whole thing into something spectacular. And we can group those groups of activities you do on a video or with a video into, I believe, 7 major categories. And that is, before you edit, there's something you do, and then after that you do something else. So I created a simple acronym for you guys to kind of remember these major concepts. And the first thing you do is to ensure color correction, right? Make sure your video is correct in terms of how it looks, appearance, exposure, and all the other elements of video that we learned in the previous course. So make sure you watch that as well. And then of course we'll go over them. And then you have to deal with audio. Before you do any cuts, any transformation on a video, make sure the audio is good, because the last thing you want is to cut the whole video into many parts and then you have to go edit each audio piece separately instead of just editing the whole audio together, making sure the audio is good throughout before you do any cuts. So once the video and audio are good to go in terms of appearance and in terms of how the audio sounds, then only are you allowed to do the cuts. So that's where you start cutting, cropping, any activities related to that. And then once you've done with your cuts and all cropping, resizing, reframing, whatever, then you can start putting stuff on top of video. And by stuff on top of video, I mean B-roll. So usually you find that if you take a video of yourself, like the video of myself right now, and if I keep going like this throughout, the video tends to be boring and uninteresting. So what I have to do is make sure that when I'm editing this video, I have to put some B-roll, which is footage that you put on top of video that's kind of exciting and a bit different from me, myself, and what I'm doing right now. So then you put something on top of video. Once you're done with that, then you can ink the video, that is add titles, lower thirds, and other typographic animations. And then after that, you need to make sure your background is nice. So not necessarily the audio, but the actual background of the whole thing. So that would be background music, or that could also include, in fact, that also includes animations, not animations, but sound effects, anything that spices up the whole video. Then after that, you have to go over the whole video again. You have to review the video. It's interesting that, when we were talking about the creative process in the video where I talk about content creation, we're looking at how God is the first and best creator and how we can learn so much from him. For every day that God creates, he went over what he created and then he kind of almost measured it and then said it is good or it's not good. As in the case of Adam, when he had created Adam, he said it's not good for man to be alone. So imagine if God never reviewed the creation of the 6th day, then there wouldn't be Eve. Life would be different as we know it. So it's interesting. So every time you need to go over your video after you've edited it, even if you think it's perfect, just watch it again and see if there's any mistake or if there's opportunities for improvements, because truth is they'll always be there. And so you have to make sure you optimize these things, all right? And so enough talking, let's get into the real work. I will stop sharing my screen here and then take you to WeVideo. So all right, so for editing today, we're going to use WeVideo, and then we're going to jump into Premiere Pro as well. WeVideo is a simple web-based software, and I'm using this one because I think it's the simplest there is, at least in terms of how they've really simplified the editing process, right? And also the other reason I'm using WeVideo is because it's cloud-based, so everything I edit is saved right away, so I don't have to worry about, oh, I didn't save my work, oh, my work, I lost my work, I lost my project, right? But here it's all saved for you. So all you do is you could be using a free account or a paid account, it doesn't really matter. So you go to create new and you say, well, I want to create a video. Now there's a simplified editor which is like too simple for you and me because we know something about editing, right? But the one I would recommend is the full featured editor because it gives you everything you need. And then you can choose a project. So let's just say breaking news, I have different projects that are working there. And then once you have this is so cool because this shows you the how the software itself looks like. So you do have the space where you do your editing, and this will be called the the timeline, right? Or the sequence, or where you put the assembly line, if you like. Think of editing as an assembly line. And then here you'd have the media, which includes the different things, folders that you've created yourself. And then, okay, we're not getting into how to use WeVideo. I believe I did a video on that. I'll be linking that as well. But for now, let's get into the actual editing process. So first of all, you need something to edit. You need footage, let's say. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to import something. So let me create a folder for ourselves, and I'm gonna call this video editing course because this is what it is. Okay, spelling, somebody needs to go back to school. Video editing course, and it shows at the very bottom here. Needless to say, you can search the folder as well. And then I'm going to import footage I recorded today. I think the one we are looking for is this one here because it's a bit longer, 2 minutes, right? So that is the footage that we have. A friend of mine helped me with his drone for a few days so I can learn how to use it. So I value the opportunity. And so today I was testing it out for the first time, flying this thing, and it's pretty amazing. Anyways, so I don't think it captured audio, so the audio aspects here won't really matter. And I guess I'll be telling you some limitations of WeVideo and why we're going to shift into Premiere Pro soon. But as you can see, the video it looks great, let's say, but you can hardly see me, right? Because what that means is what's that called? I mean, is in a sense underexposed. So the exposure is not as it should be, right? And so as I look at this, the first thing I have to do is not to cut. Maybe there are some mistakes I made. Maybe I don't want to show me fighting with my brother for the drone, let's say. Maybe I just want to show good stuff. Even then, cutting is not a good idea before you fix the color correction everywhere, right? So I think it's just, loading, because it has to finish uploading before I start working on it. Maybe we can give it some time, but as we wait for it, the thing is when in fact, we don't have to wait. So for WeVideo, it has, it's not like it's advanced, but it has the level standard when it comes to color correction. Now this is definitely different for every software, but the corrections you will do are pretty much the same. So when you double click on the video, at least for WeVideo, it gives you all the interactions you can have with the video in terms of editing it. And so here you can see you can do some transformations. That's not the first thing you want to start with. You can do some cropping, not necessarily. You want to first deal with the color, and this is the sign for color here. And now these are the few things you can fix, and if you know how to deal with this, you can greatly improve any video any bad video that you have or any video that's average by using these elements that we learned in the previous course. We can make it amazing. So let me show you what I mean. Let me go to the part that's dark, right? That's dark. I can't even see myself. So what you can do is you can increase the brightness, right? And as you increase the brightness, obviously you can reach limits. That's fine. So always work within your limits. So maybe perhaps put it somewhere there or even here where you can see everything you want to see. And then the other thing you can do with that, you can work around the contrast to ensure that, you know, it still looks okayish. So then perhaps bring the brightness down a bit again. So you have to, so the combination of contrast and brightness gives you some perfect balance, because brightness overexposes things, so it makes things brighter, but contrast comes back and says, no, this is dark. You know, that's the whole point of contrast. It makes what's darker darker and what's brighter brighter, right? So for example, let me restore contrast back to original and see how it looks. It still looks fadey, right? But then bring in the contrast. Oh, I can't bring it in. I thought it saves. Never mind. As I bring in the contrast, you can see that, you know, it looks clear. Do you see the difference? Right? There we go. So for all intents and purposes, this version of the video looks better than what we had at first when everything was dark, right? But then you can go on and, you know, change some few things. Maybe you want to pop up the colors a bit, and, you know, you increase the saturation a little bit as opposed to black and white. Not too much. Always make sure it's something that is okay or pleasing to the eye. The temperature, it was cold, and so maybe you want to maintain that. You can, you know, decrease the temperature more or increase it a bit to make it warmer, which doesn't fit. So I think where it is fine, and then you can change the tints to change the overall color of the whole thing, but I think where it was is good. So that's simple, you know, simple color corrections you can do to make a video look amazing, right? So now, at least if you look from the beginning, the video looks much more clear. Now it's not like I'm hidden, right? Because at first you couldn't even recognize me, but at least now you can, I hope. All right. So that's the first step in the video editing process. Make sure color correction is correct. How do you know it's correct? For now, as a beginner, just use your eye. If it looks good, it is good. And then as you grow, as you get advanced, you can now have some measurements to use, which also depends on which software you're using. For this one, for instance, there's no way to measure whether we have the right color. It all depends on your experience with your eyes, so you have to trust your eyes on this one. So once this step is done, the next step is what? Remember the acronym editing, right? Editing. So we're done with ensure that color is correct, right? Now the next step is deal with audio. So the reason why I started with WeVideo is to show you some limitations. So I'll be jumping back and forth from WeVideo to Premiere Pro. So right now, since we're going to talk about audio, I have to jump back to Premiere Pro. But before I do that, let me show you why we can't use WeVideo, even if we had audio. It's not like it's the best. It doesn't have so much, you know, richness when it comes to editing audio. Anyways, so let's assume we had audio. Let's say this was the audio, right? I'll begin a new project. I will call it workflow. And so as you can see, Premiere Pro is a bit different. I also did a course, I believe, on how to edit using Premiere Pro. It will ask you to ensure that your audio adjustments are correct, your audio hardware. So that means your input, because you can actually record into this, and your output as well. Input means the mic you're going to use to record. Right now I'm using my mic for something else. So for this, maybe I might use a different mic. And then it asks you for the output. For now, I want to be able to hear what I'm editing. So I will choose the mic that I'm connected to right now, or that the mic that's connected to my headset, right? So that will be this one here. but that's microphone for output. It can be, yeah, it can be microphone as well. All right, perfect. Or we can say system default as well. That works. And that's also system default. And then we say okay, and then we wait. So as you can see, Premiere is different. It does have the, you know, where you drop your media to create sequence. So what I'll do is I will find some footage that I have that I've recorded in the past, and we're looking for something that has audio with it as well. I have some videos here, and this is an interesting video from a long time ago. I don't even remember when. And yep, so it's loading the audio as well. Now, as you can see already, this video is a bit challenging because it has a green screen, but actually this is very good that I brought this video here, because color correction also includes dealing with things like green screen. So if you have a green screen, you have to do some color correction on it. If you have a video that was recorded in a different format, a format called, let's say it's RAW. So there's a format where you record something and it's RAW, and it doesn't capture so much the color, but it captures something in a different format. We don't want to talk about those things now, but those videos tend to look like, you know, kind of grayish, or they look like they are kind of black and white, but then when you edit them, they actually give you good color. And so for those videos, videos that are recorded in RAW, not ProRes, just RAW, you need to make sure that you actually do some color corrections on them. So it's done. So now let's play and see what's going on here. Welcome to another episode of Journeying Through the Bible. And as we continue, we just want to first of all thank God for His Word and ask Him to actually be with us as we study today. So that's the video. Okay, so far the color looks okayish, let's say, but there's few things you can do. Now with Premiere Pro, it's a bit more advanced than WeVideo. So you just go to the color section here, and then they give you some basic correction. This is a good point to start. Basic color correction, right? And there's a few things you can change. First of all, you can make sure the white balance is okay by using the white balance selector. Something we wouldn't be able to do in WeVideo. In WeVideo, we only have temperature and tint, right? But we don't have white balance. Now, it's really the same thing in a sense, because what white balance does, it's a combination of the temperature and the tint, and it kind of adjusts it for you to make sure that it's perfect, right? So then, in some sense, any color correction you can do here in terms of white balance, you can also do in WeVideo. Having said that, I'm going to use this selector. Select a white space or something that's grayish in the video, and that should kind of fix, you know, everything for me. So the video looks like it's pretty well white balanced, right? And then you can try something here, which is auto, but then auto usually tends to overexpose things, so I don't really recommend that a lot. But you know, a little bit of contrast never hurt anyone. A little bit of shadows is very good. Blacks should stay where they belong. Now, to be honest, I edited this video a long time ago and released it, but I never really did any color corrections on it. So I'll tell you that this video might be better than the one I've released. Who knows? But let's see before and after. Before, that's how it looks like. And after some few fixing, it looks kind of legit, right? So that's a good start. So you just play around with these things. There's no perfect combinations. It's what you want to see and what you want the audience to actually experience. So it's all at your own disposal. You have these, or most of these, in WeVideo and in many other editing softwares, I imagine. I'm sure, I should say. And then obviously you can fix the saturation here if it's too color. I mean, if there's too much color, you can, you know, reduce that to make sure it's not too much. right? So these are the basic corrections for color. Once all that is done, then you can fix your audio. Now, how do you fix your audio? First of all, you have to make sure your levels
Welcome
are
to another
correct.
episode of Journeying Through
So
the
let's close
Bible.
the
And as we
color
continue,
and come to
we
essential
just want to
sound.
first of all thank
Essential
God for
sound
His
has
Word.
different things. You can go over how to use Premiere Pro. I won't spend time doing that, but here I'm just showing you what you can do to fix audio before you continue or as you edit, right? So first things actually is that
And ask
if
Him
you
to
come here to the
actually be
audio
with us as
section,
we
you could
study
actually increase the
today. So
volume. For
without much
example, right
further
now my
ado,
audio is
let's
at
pray.
minus 18, but
Heavenly
that's not
Father,
good
thank you
enough.
so much
It
for
needs to
the
be at least at minus
opportunity to
6 or
speak to
close
you
to
and the
0, but never
opportunity to
0
study
because
your
0 is
word.
clipping or it's
Lord, I
like
am
it's
not
too
worthy
much.
of all your
You'll be
truth
hearing
and of all
some
your
weird sounds
mercies.
in
And
your
so, Lord, I
headphones,
ask that as I share these
unpleasant
things, as I share your truth,
and unpleasant
that you would
sounds.
speak
But
to
you can
me and
increase it a
put
bit so
your
we can
Holy
hear the
Spirit
person.
within me, that I'm able to
But now we have a
speak
problem. As I increase,
your
it
word
also
with
increases the
truth
background
and
noise, which is
with the
also
power
very
that it
annoying.
deserves. And this is my prayer in Jesus' name.
So
Amen.
then another thing you have to do
So,
as a video
Genesis
editor
chapter
is
32.
deal with background noise. WeVideo doesn't have an opportunity to do that. Maybe in the future. I know other editing softwares, DaVinci Resolve, there is Filmora. I believe these should have ability to remove noise. But I came to Premiere Pro just to show an example.
And we're
So
looking at
with Premiere Pro, you can go to whatever you're editing. In this case, we're looking for dialogue, which is speech, human speech.
verse number 1. It says
And
here,
then there's an
and
option
Jacob
to
went
repair.
on his way,
You click
and
on
the
that,
angels of God met
and it
him.
does
This is an
help reduce some
exciting
noise.
moment.
But
Almost
already
similar
our
to Genesis
voice
chapter,
sounds
I
weird.
believe it was chapter
It sounds a bit better, but there's
20-ish,
too much restriction
when
to the
Jacob
voice. You
was
can't hear the voice
leaving
in its richness.
his I
And
think
that's
it's
the
Genesis 28.
disadvantage of using noise reduction, is that it can tremendously affect how you sound. So you want to make sure that
When he was
the
very happy,
reduction of noise
after
is subtle,
after the Bethel
not too much,
experience, after
just a
he had
little bit.
seen God, after he had seen the
Even
ladder
this
that
is
connected
fine. So
heaven and
for
earth,
instance, watch the
he
difference.
was happy. He had
That's how I
all the
sound now.
energy that he needed, and he was
Remove
limping
noise.
and jumping on
change
his
it
way
back to
to
original, and
Haran,
this is how I sound.
knowing that God's presence was promised to be with him
Not
until
so
he
good,
would
right?
return
And then you can
back.
make other
But
adjustments to
here
make your
he
voice
actually
sound more richer
is
by,
thinking many things,
using
because
something like,
God has
you can
just
play
told,
around with
if you
these by the
follow the
way, but I'm just
previous
showing you the
episode,
things that I
God
do and
told
the things that
Jacob
work.
to return to the
Dynamics.
land of his fathers. But the problem with that was
Dynamics will
that
make your voice sound more
in the
richer.
land of his fathers, there was this person called Esau, his brother, whom
Essentially, it's more like
he had
compression.
done wrong
Your
in the
sound
past,
your
whom
voice
he had
sounds almost at the
deceived.
same level
And the
in
point
terms
of his deception is what
loudness.
we're going to be
So
looking at
it's
today
not
closely.
fluctuating like high and the
Because
lows, but it's
Jacob
almost
at a
kind of
point saying,
normalized, right?
I
And
am
sounds
Esau.
more richer.
And
then you
he
can control
actually
the anime, the
stole
line here to
his
say to sound
Esau's
more
birthright,
natural or to
if you
sound more
will,
focused.
in a way.
And I always find
And so he was very
natural to be
concerned because
better
Esau had said,
because
I will
natural is
kill
better,
Jacob.
right?
And that's why Jacob
And then
left
for
in the
other
first
things, you
place.
can
But God just
include reverb, which really sounds more like an echo of your voice, but in an appealing way, and that kind of works as well. And then if you're interested in reducing more volume, and then if you
instructed,
want to increase volume,
God just
you can
instructed
still
Jacob
pull it
to
up
go
here.
back to the place that he fears
But
the
the more
most.
you do, the more you introduce noise as well.
And so as he's thinking about
you
all
have to
these
be at a
things,
level that
God
is
sends
kinda
his
doable.
angels towards him to explain to him, not just, it wasn't even about explaining it, it was a confirmation of his presence. God has said, go back, I will be with you. And Jacob was going through all these motions, and God sent his angels to confirm, to give him strength, to just strengthen him and to assure him that God was present. With the children of Israel, there was a cloud of a cloud by day, and a pillar of cloud by day, and a pillar of fire by night. All these tokens were to tell them that God is.
So that's how you do your audio editing, right? So simple things, depending on what software you're using, you can definitely see these things under the audio editing sections. Now, some softwares are really limited. All you will do is perhaps increase volume, reduce volume, make the audio faster or slower. But if you're serious with video editing, then you need to find an application, a software that allows you to do more, that allows you at least to do the standard things, like, you know, removing noise. That's very important, because most of the video editing, in my experience, most of the videos that I had to deal with had the issue of noise. So if you can't remove noise, then that software is not really helping much, although it can be helpful in some other ways. So it all depends on what you want, right? So that was the second step in the editing process. You need to make sure that the audio is sounding great, just as the video looks great as well. So once your video and your audio is good, then you can start cutting things, then you can start changing things. So in our case, for example, then I need to listen to the video now. The first two steps you can do without listening to anything, but now I need to pay attention. For example, I am being videoed while, you know, pressing record. So if I play and then so there's that short space before I start speaking, that awkward, you know, moment. I don't want that to be published. Who wants, right? So you want to make sure that's cut, and you want to make sure you cut exactly where you start saying welcome. Now this is very similar for most video editing softwares. You either have a tool that allows you to do the cut, or the tool is actually embedded, but you use something to cut always. So in this case, we have some tools here we can use, and so we pick for a razor tool, and with the razor tool I can cut. Once I cut, the thing that is unwanted I select and I delete, and then the thing I want I drag back to the very beginning of the timeline. The beginning of the timeline is where your video begins, so make sure there is no space between that space and the beginning of the video. The video must always begin at the beginning of the timeline, otherwise there'll be some empty space, you know what I mean? So welcome to another episode of Journeying Through the Bible, and as we maybe you don't want the welcome to sound cut, so you want to make sure you show some, you know, emotion before I start speaking. Welcome to another episode. That also sounds cut for some reason, so let's give more space there. Excuse me. Welcome to another episode. It sounds like, yeah, I'll begin from here. All right, so this is how you do the cuts. All right, so welcome to another episode of Journeying Through the Bible, and as we continue, we just want to first of all thank God for His Word and ask Him to actually be with us as we study today. And so without much further ado, let's pray. Now, without much further ado, let's pray. So another thing we forgot to do in our color correction is, since this is a green screen thing, then we need to make sure the green screen is removed and adjusted correctly. So if you have a green screen, a blue screen, or any other color that you want to remove from the background, then you have to make sure you deal with that. To do that, you take the video. This is the video part, that's the audio part. So take the video and put it higher, right? However steps you can, and leave some space here for things you want to add. Usually leave one space, but depending on how many things you want to add, you can always drag this higher, right? So I want space to add a background image here, or any background something. So let's add some image background. Because of time, I will add a random background. I'll add this background. So I just put it here. Usually you want to first, don't show this yet, because when we are going to, you know, remove the color, the green screen, there's some few edits we need to do. So here's how it goes. So according to this software, you have to go to effects and then look for the Ultra key, which is an effect or a tool that helps you to remove colors from the background, right? So if you have a uniform color in the background, this can help you remove that color by just dragging the Ultra key here and then coming to the effects control. As again, if you want to learn how to use these things specifically, then you can watch the video on how to use Premiere Pro. But once that is dropped here, it should show up here in the controls, and then as I drag down, Let's redo that right here. There we go. So as I drag down, I see motion, now I see lumetri, color, because I've already applied so much, right? So now here's what we're looking for, the Atra key. You want to select the key color that you want to remove. Now you see I'm selecting here because I want to make sure not only this brighter part, but even the darker, brighter part is removed. Okay, so that kind of did a good job of removing things, but you can still see things hanging in the background. There's like a
leaving his I think it's Genesis 28.
And you can see the shadow here. You don't want to see all that. So how do we remove that? Well, you use these other functions we have. So there's the matte generation, which controls these things: transparency, highlight, shadow, tolerance, pedestal. Literally color correction, right? So usually the pedestal, I put that higher. There we go. And even with that,
he was very happy, after the Bethel experience, after he had seen God.
Again, it depends on what you want to see. But now I put a background
and the ladder that connected heaven and earth. He was happy.
So to fix all those things, you now have to go back to the pedestal. Now it's 100.
He had all the energy that he needed, and he was limping and jumping on his way to Haran, knowing that God's presence was promised
the background to whatever you want. All right, so once that's done, then you can go ahead and do your audio editing.
With him
audio editing, make sure it sounds good, which we've already done. Now, these steps I'm giving you, it's good to follow them in order, but sometimes, depending on the nature of the video, it can be recursive as well. So you could be doing green keying, and then you realize the audio is not working well, so you just have to deal with it right away. But as a beginner, it's always good to follow a process, right? Let's say I only want to get a 60-second video because I do 60 seconds with God. So to do that, I'm gonna have to come to 60 seconds. Let's say they gave you an assignment to give a 2-minute video. So you go to 2 minutes, and the variations vary. Let's say this part doesn't have good content, so we can select all and cut. Well, it doesn't work for Premiere, it works for WeVideo. But anyway, so I cut that and I remove that. So those are some of the cuts you can do. Other cuts you can do include,
welcome to another episode.
Other cuts you can do include, let's say I keep touching the bottom, but I think this is fine. At the top, I mean, this is fine because if I rescale the video, let's say to make it look smaller, then my head will be cut, because I don't know if that makes sense, but it's good the way it is right now. So those are some of the few examples of the creative process. Color, make sure it's correct. Then once your color is correct, once you've ensured the color is correct, deal with audio. Once the audio is great, now you can start doing some cuts, some cropping, and some whatever. Now let me jump into WeVideo to show you guys that these things are also possible in WeVideo. Okay, so assume everything is good here, audio is good, we don't have audio, but at least the color looks okayish. I mean, the best we can do. I wonder if that is the best we can do. Contrast. Okay. That looks too saturated. Where's the saturation? Okay, there we go. All right. So for the cuts, there's a few things you can do. So this one has good cropping. I was very excited when they gave me this tool. So I simply drag this side and I can, let's say I want to, show myself and the guy here. So you can, move these around, horizontal, cropping, and then save, or go to the general, go to the transform again, and then save, right? So now the whole video will be showing only content in that little, thing, right? So that's cropping. You can play around with these things only after you've done with the audio. So once the audio is good, once the color is correct, once the audio is good, once you've done all the cuts you want, removed everything you didn't like, and cropped out everything that was not looking good, then you can move on to the next stage. Remember the acronym? Editing. So ensure color is correct. D, deal with audio. I, it's time to cut and crop. Editing. T, it's called top up your video. Now it's time to top up your video, right? How do you top up your video? You include some good videos that you want to show. So for example, here when I say,
and as we continue, we just want to first of all thank God for his word and ask him to actually be with us as we study today.
So putting stuff on top of your video simply means, finding good footage. So this will be B-roll. And where do you find B-roll, you ask? Well, there's a few sources I can suggest you guys use. The first one is what I use the most. It's called Pexels. Actually, wrong spelling. Pexels. Great footage for free. All you have to do is, if you're looking for photos, you go photos or videos. You go videos, and then you can search what you're looking for. In our case, it's a Bible video, so I'm looking for a Bible, right? Anything to do with the Bible. There's a person opening the Bible, reading the Bible, praying. And then you can actually choose your dimensions, right? If you're dealing with a horizontal video, I suggest you come to orientation and choose that you're working with horizontal video. And now let us download some B-roll and top up our video. So that looks kind of interesting. This video looks kind of unique. Someone raising the Bible. Okay, I'll use it. So download it. Now as you download, they ask you to say thanks to the creator who uploaded the video. You can copy that if you want, but I usually don't. But I advise that you do. And so once that is there, we can now, bring the video that we downloaded. So I'll just go to quick access and then recent. There we go. And then put it on top somewhere here. All right, and then as I edit.
Welcome to another episode of Journeying Through the Bible. And as we continue, we just want to first of all thank God for his word and ask him to actually be with us as we study today.
So I can cut there. It doesn't have to be too long, just for a few minutes and then go back to the person. So you can do this over the whole video depending on what the person is saying. It really tops up a video and makes it look great. Now I want to do this before adding any text and everything, which will be our next point when it comes to our next procedure when you're editing. So
welcome to another episode of.
So it's good, great, perfect. So imagine this was true for the rest of the video. I was adding some things here and there. Once the video looks great with different B-rolls or videos that you can add, then you can move on to the next stage, right? And by the way, for the for sources of getting footage for B-roll, you can try Pexels, Pixabay. You can try using those are the ones I use actually. They all start with P, surprisingly. Pexels and Pixabay. Use those, and I think that's enough for your editing experience because they offer free stuff, unless if you want to buy. And so if you use WeVideo, for example, all the graphics and things you use are integrated into it. So let me show you what I mean. So if I go back to WeVideo, which is right over here, and I want to add some footage. All right, now we can undo this nonsense that we did here. Good. Let's say I want to add footage of a drone. I just come to video and I type drone, and then it gives me all the videos I'm looking for. So then I put that, then it's all good. And then cut maybe, right? So maybe I want to begin with an interesting intro of how I got my first drone. So you can add different footage to just make your video exciting. It's really great. Always make sure you add some B-roll to your videos. It will make them amazing, and you can get all these things for free, so why not use them? And then now moving on to the next step in the video editing process is, now that you've added now that the color is correct, now that the audio is good, and you know that you're sure that it's good, now that you've cut out everything you don't like in the video, now that you've cropped out anything that doesn't look good, you've made sure that it looks great, the scale is great, everything is good. Now that you have B-roll on top of that and the video looks topped up and great and happy, then you can add your text or typography in general, or motion graphics. So in this case, for example, let's say I want to begin this with a title that says "My First Flight," let's say, as a title of a video. So I come to text. Now this is very different for different, editing scenarios or editing softwares, but let me just use this weird one, right? Usually most softwares have presets, or you can just use regular ones. So this is a preset. It was already edited or something like that, and then I can increase the change it to manual, at least according to the software. I want to make it bigger, 100. Oh, not 10, 100. That's too small. 200. Okay, how about 500? Oh, too much. How about 300? Okay, and then 302. Sorry. Okay, no, that won't work. So let's turn back to auto. Okay, first flight. Okay, then turn this to 250. So my first flight, let's call it my first flight, and then reduce that to 200. And then for subtitle, I'll say Mavic Air 2S, something like that. I don't even remember the name. All right, so now put the title here, and then they'll see that, and then after a while it's gonna go maybe here. It doesn't have to be too long. Then the next thing they see is me. So it's easier now to add typography after you've added your B-roll, because imagine if I had already added my typography, all right, before adding the B-roll. Now if I bring the B-roll here, let's say I want to put it here, then I can't see anything, right? So make sure that you follow these steps, and obviously if you do it wrong, it will just take you more time. But here we go, good intro, kind of captivating, and then we land. Maybe now you want to begin with me flying it, without any delays. Now this could have been corrected in the cuts section. So there we go, maybe right there when it's taking off. Okay, so right here, I wish I recorded sound. I wish I had some sound, but it's okay. And then okay, I mean, you can now begin here if you like, because there's nothing here. And then you begin with us taking off. Like, okay, interesting. So then it takes you into the experience. You can connect with the video and all that. Yeah, you can put some background music so it's not boring. And then drone, you can even put background sound effects, which is our next point. That of course audio is done, but you also need to do some background music, so let's put some background music here. Okay, so this is for sound effects, and I have to reduce the volume so it's kind of interesting. And then that becomes the intro, and then here you cut to, as you can see, I'm increasing the tabs or whatever this, so the workspace for me to work in, let's say, by going to the addition. It works different for different softwares, but I want that to be the intro, so do like that. And then after this, I need to hear some music. Now, how do you find music? If you're using something like this, then WeVideo has music, but you can also find music on what's it called, YouTube Audio Library. YouTube Audio Library has free music that you can use, and it's pretty good. All you do is you listen. If you like, you download, and then you actually, it also has sound effects. Kids playing, factory building, truck driving. I'm sure if we search, I guess you can't search, you can. Here, drone. They don't have for that. Oh wait, drone. Wind chime drone. Anywho, free music. Search using a title. I want something. Okay, I can't think of a title, but you can search by mood as well, or in genre. So I want something maybe ambient and cinematic at the same time. And yeah, let's apply. Floating home. So the process can seem a bit intimidating, especially if you do not know what you're looking for. However, if you've defined what exactly you want, you will definitely find it. So if you are editing, in my case, I can't really pinpoint what I'm looking for, but it will be something for like adventurous, or usually what they call, I guess, world music. I don't know. World music, Earth appears, something like that. Yes, I'm looking for something like this, so I'll download that, and then I'll go to video in our folder that we created, drag and drop, and then now I can replace this with that. I want it to begin here, or if that's boring, I want to begin together. And then now this will be a great opportunity to add more text explaining what's going on, and yeah, and then you'd have to do that using these things here. So you just drag and drop, wherever you want to show some text. Imagine all these were text with, pointers as to what I'm doing, or why I'm doing it, learning with my brother, anything, right? So then you can make the video smaller to fit the music. For some reason, I don't like the music. I thought it was great. How about this? No. Not good music. Oh, that feels. Wow, it's called feels. I need this. It feels. Let's try feels. What do you guys say? Hey, pause. Exactly. So then, you know, after you fix the how the background music sounds and works, something called sound design, then you should be good with your video overall. Let's go to our video down here. So for this video, since it's a Bible video,
welcome to another episode.
Usually I would need something, you know, like Egyptian Bible based kind of thing, and so I would search for, you know, Middle East, for example, because it's a journey in the Bible. Middle East, and let's see. Or the other thing I do is search for desert. That might work. Who knows, right? Okay, you can keep looking until tomorrow, but you just, you know, import it from wherever you put it. Quick access, please give me access. There we go. Then you just put it down here. Anywhere really, make sure the volume is not too much. So if I come to Essential Sound, I say this is music and I want this to be balanced, you can reduce the volume level so it's not overwhelming.
Welcome to another episode of Journey Through the Bible. And as we continue, we just want to first of all thank God for His Word and ask Him to actually be with us as we study
the volume
today.
Of the
so without much further ado, let's
did I reduce
pray.
The volume?
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to you and the opportunity to study your word. Lord, I am not worthy of all your truth and of all your mercies. So Lord, I ask that as I share these things, as I share your truth, that
these are just examples, guys, to show you. And then once everything is done, you have to make sure you review the video. Important that you review the video because you will always learn things, you always find out things, you always improve things. But you know, when you're done with the video, let's just go back to the video real quick, or even here. Just make sure it all ends together. Make sure the end fades out. To fade out means to, you know, end in a proper manner. So you give it a fade out, and it should end well.
At a point, say
end however you like. And then if we go to a video, same story. Let's say, oh, that was good, and you want to end, then make sure you end like you are ending, not like you are beginning or like you're being cut. So you introduce the volume level. It should drop from 100 to 0, but in a gradual manner. And then there's some other transitions here that can help you if you're using a video, and I'm sure many other editing softwares. Maybe you want to fade to black, so like that. So then that becomes the end, and you can finish, give it a name, and you know, set, and you know, you can now publish as whatever format you like. Usually full HD is good. It depends on the quality of the video that you the quality at which you shot or you found the original video in, but usually this is a good place to, you know, have full HD. And it will tell you in some instances, for example, if I did 4K and the video is not 4K, it will tell me, hey, but it's not 4K. But in any case, I've found that if I export something at 4K, it turns out to be greater than if I did at full HD, even if it was full HD and not necessarily 4K. Interesting, right? So, and that's interesting because most publishing softwares, they compress the videos because they're trying to save up on space, and so they end up making sure that everything is not too big, and so making sure that they compress your videos. And then that means if you output something in a greater quality, they will cut out things, but then you still end up with the original form, if that makes sense. So that's it, guys, for the video editing process on how to become a proficient video editor. With this process, editing, following the acronym editing, for every video you edit, you end up creating something amazing. So make sure you check the color correction first. Make sure all the elements are good. Make sure it's bright, it's clear. If it's underexposed, make sure you bring the exposure up a bit and make it nice and neat. Once the color is good, once it looks great, then fix the audio. If there's any background noise, if it's too loud at some points and too low at some points, then use some things like, you know, equalizers and compressions. We'll learn about that in the next classes, but for now I think you can go ahead and work around that. Now here's an exercise for you guys. Take a video of yourself or from anywhere, it doesn't matter, and edit it from start to finish, and then you're going to present that to us next time we meet. Make sure you guys edit your own video. I don't care where you get it from, just edit something, not too long, please, 2 minutes max, and then share it with us. I hope you guys are learning a lot, and so am I. As I teach, I also get to learn. And so if there's any questions, be sure to let me know, and let's meet in the WhatsApp group. All right, bye for now.